How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I watched the film last night, and it is just one of those movies that is just unapologetically great fun. And I just was completely in the mood for a film of that nature. Sometimes we just need to see a film like that, isn't it? Just a film that's got a full-on commitment to entertainment. Was that part of the appeal for you to getting involved?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if it was just an action movie, I'm not sure I would have signed up for it. But it's an action movie which I enjoy. I love watching, but also it has this, great authenticity. It has Andy McNab. It has, his credentials. And then in the heart of it, you have this interesting story about psychopathy and about the reality of that. So I think it has a lot of elements. And as you say, yeah, I mean, you get on this train, you get on this ride, and it doesn't let up till the very end of the movie.
Have you been on a train since shooting this, and has it made you a little bit nervous?
You know what? We actually went on the Eurostar to shoot some of it, and it was after the fact that we'd shot all the interior stuff. So yeah, I was a little nervous, but I'm glad to know that under the Channel Tunnel there are a great number of emergency tunnels and procedures to go through. So hopefully you'll be safe.
Yeah. I said, did you work? You mentioned Andy McNab. I mean, I know he was kind of involved in this as well in terms of like being around on set and stuff. Did you get the chance to work with him at all?
Oh, heavily, yeah. I mean, from day one, even before I signed on, he flew to Scotland and we spent a lot of time together. And then in pre-production, even working on the script, I was on the phone to him while working on the script, and he was in the Brecon Beacons racing the Royal Marines with a full Bergen on his back, but on the phone to me, telling me, about whatever. So yeah, he's a great character. And then on pre-production, we were doing a lot of military training with him. We went to Leeds, where there's an airsoft place, and he taught me about military tactics, about tactical movement, about clearing out rooms, et cetera, et cetera. So it was very full on. And then on set as well, the guy is relentless. His energy knows no limits, and he really was just a great source of energy and information. So for me, a definite character study, because the character is Tom Buckingham is basically Andy McNab. A lot of the stories, a lot of the dialogue is taken from Andy. So it was really important for me to sort of study him.
Yeah, you mentioned that training. I mean, there's so much more to it, isn't it? Just kind of like just holding a gun and just walking around like that. There's the nuances that come with having to be specially trained to do what your character does. I guess that must have meant that so much kind of meticulous training that goes into this to really perfect the kind of the movement and the kind of nuances that make up someone in that profession.
I mean, really boring, but simple stuff. Just drills. I was working in special forces in South Africa and working on just different drills for working with working with a rifle, working with a pistol. How to move, how to crouch, how to the logic behind it. Then working with Andy, how to deal with civilians, how to move around a building tactically, using your voice. How to have controlled aggression. This is not like action movies where you see, the guys are screaming and they're like, full emotion. The military work in a very logical, very controlled type of maneuvering. So it really was. There's a lot of detail in there. And then, this is his name on it, so we really had to get it right. So the way that the SAS operate, the way that we shot the sequences with the military, it had to be spot on.
I mean, it's a sort of film that traditionally would have a theatrical run, but of course, this is coming to our TV screens at home. I wondered if you had any big plans for launch day. If you're going to get a red carpet out at home and walk down from the kitchen to the living room or something.
Yeah, I think we spent a great deal of time in post-production on this to get it right. And even, Andy wanted to make sure that the sound was right. He believes that Hollywood has created what we think are what sound effects sound like in battle or explosions, etc. And actually the reality of it are different. So we actually created our own sound effects for a lot of the military sequences. So we wanted to get it right, and it was prepared for the cinema. So obviously this will really impress in the movies theater, but at home, hopefully people enjoy it. And yeah, I guess the night it comes out, I don't know, I'll raise a glass of whiskey or something.
My final question was, we saw you recently in To Olivia with an incredible cameo as Paul Newman. How was that experience? I mean, was it the first time you've kind of done acting like that before, where you kind of have to balance the kind of embodiment of the character emotionally, but kind of have to sort of semi-veer into kind of impressionistic kind of acting too?
That's a good question, actually. Yeah, I mean, the movie is beautiful, and to play an icon like Paul Newman is quite a challenge. And also, I didn't have an awful lot of time to prep. I had a couple of weeks before I shot on it. You know, something like that, you'd hope you'd get a lot more time, you know. But I didn't want to do a mimic. I didn't want to, you know, just sort of copy him. I wanted to get an essence of who he was. And I was lucky that the scenes were all based around, you know, him playing pool. Firstly, so I looked at all his movies and his book and interviews, but, you know, Hustler is definitely one that I tried to get as many of his characteristics or just part of who he is. And then also HUD as well. Tried to sort of get an essence of who he is. But I have actually played another character like that. I played Tom Welling. He's the youngest Spitfire pilot who's in the Battle of Britain. I'm very lucky to meet him as well before he passed away, unfortunately. But really just an honor to play someone like that and to sort of be able to study that person as a character. And it was the same with Andy McNab, you know, getting to study someone in reality is great gift.
Well, you did Paul Newman justice. It was like the essence of him emanated through the screen. It was great. Anyway, thanks so much for your time today, and best of luck with the release of the movie. And hope you enjoy your whiskey on the launch night.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!